Broadcasting from a town called Manalapan, New Jersey. This is That Oneness Guy, podcast covering the many aspects and elements that embody oneness. I am your host, Danny Rongo, and yes, I am that oneness guy. As an author, singer, songwriter, and a podcaster, as you know, I'm spreading my message of oneness basically to anyone who will listen. So if you haven't seen it yet, these podcasts now have a new official home where you can watch and listen to all of these podcasts from me, that oneness guy, all on my newly designed and interactive website. So just, friends, please visit thatonenessguy.com to see it all. The site's cool. It's very easy to navigate, and it also contains my blogs and the new little mini like vlogs, as they say, that I've recently started recording as well. So by all means, check it out. So let's get right into podcasting. Okay. Following on the heels of my last podcast with the incredibly charming Miss Positivity from the UK, this podcast will also feature the insightful passion and motivation of someone who cares deeply about humanity. I'll say deeply enough to devote precious time and effort to put forth a brand that can only serve to better our society. The guest for this episode is radio and TV host Danny Coleman. Now, before I give you the backdrop of how I know Danny, let me share some of his bio with you. And it reads like this. Danny Coleman has said, "My cousin gave me Led Zeppelin IV for my 12th birthday." First of all, great album, by the way. "And it literally changed my life forever. The receipt of that record was the impetus behind a career in music, eventually leading him to become a published entertainment journalist and radio personality. Faced with having to reinvent himself after several difficult life events, including an unexpected severe back injury, he returned to the one constant in his life, music. Now, it has been said that necessity is the mother of invention, and Rock On Radio is proof positive of that statement. Left unemployed and with his back to the wall, he returned to his past after answering an ad which read, "Radio show hosts / ideas wanted," which had been posted by an AM station in South Central New Jersey. Coleman Pams, One More Time with Danny Coleman, and What's Next with Danny Coleman and Marianne Costello. Rock On Radio celebrated its 10th anniversary on April 26th of 2019 and can be found every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.coaradio.com. I will repeat that address again for you later, my friends, so do not worry. And it's in syndication throughout the week on multiple other outlets. Danny's Rock On This Week Soundbites column is published weekly on NewJerseyStage.com and in syndication on several other sites as well. In this, you will find an interview piece with a musician, entertainer, or artist, and event/venue listings for the coming week. Now, Danny's mission statement is this, my friends, and he goes on to say, "Music makes the world smaller. Live, love, and as always, rock on." Now, I've been privileged, my friends, to know this outstanding gentleman for more than about 15 years. Anytime that I have been releasing a new song, a new CD, a musical, a new book, or any of my charitable fundraising events, Danny has always offered me the opportunity to speak on as many platforms over these years. Now, it is that graciousness, that kindness, the selfless and tireless determination that he has to support the arts that has always amazed me about my guests. And because he lives from these foundational elements of oneness that he exudes in so many ways, to me, my friends, he is truly a beacon. So if you are an artist in New Jersey, you've heard of Danny Coleman. If you're a musician in New Jersey, you definitely know Danny Coleman. And if you're an advocate of oneness anywhere in this world of ours, you'll be pleased to get to know my guest, fellow musician, advocate, and my dear friend, Danny Coleman. Hello, Danny. What's going on today, brother?
Danny Rongo. How are you, my friend? Wow. That was some introduction. I feel I feel important.
Daddy, no, I'm telling you, and it's all from the heart, brother. Like we spoke about the other day, man. You know, I've always applauded everything that you stand for, Dan, and it's my honor to have you here because, like I said, I've been trying to branch out a little bit here on the podcast. Basically, it's been either myself speaking about oneness or highlighting things that I've been sharing, some of my messages. But I noticed that here, this is my third season. I've been like compelled to try and branch out to people in like other aspects of the arts or people who are just looking to share from their heart to better humanity. Like I referenced here in the intro, Miss Positivity out in the UK. Here's just a wonderful, wonderful girl, Danny, who built this brand. Yeah, did you? Right? Isn't she cool?
I listened to that. Yes, very nice.
Yeah. She's just a great girl with such a big heart, and she's trying to help the world, Danny, just through, you know, positivity. So there's nothing better than that. So she was kind enough. She had me. She put all my info up on her magazine, and then I said, "Listen," I said, "Man, I got to have you on the podcast." So we had a chat. You know, we had to set up the time because obviously she's in the UK, but it like came out good. So it's along those lines, Dan, that like, you know, like I want to have you because I've been blessed to see what you've done over the years to like help just so many artists, obviously the musicians, but you know, it's that thing that you carry in your heart that obviously made me want to have you. So again, thank you, my brother. Thank you for being here. I mentioned, Danny, in your bio here about your back injury and how that led you. So this is the first thing that I want to ask you about, Danny, because I know that my listeners will want to hear, because a lot of people can relate to what was that impetus, to use your word, like what was that thing that led you back to music? And you say that unfortunately it was your back injury. So tell us a little about how that specific event, Danny, took you back to music.
Well, first of all, congratulations on season 3.
Thank you, brother.
That's fantastic. Good for you, Danny. I wish you much success with it.
Thanks.
My back injury, well, I never left music. And you know this as well as anybody. If you're a musician, I always liken it to that old Looney Tunes cartoon with the gambling bug, when you got bit by the gambling bug.
Yes. Yeah.
Excuse me. It's always in you. If you're a musician, you never leave. I've had people come through my doors, some of which, you know, have put their guitar down for 20 years. And then all of a sudden, you know what? I want to play music again. So it's always in you.
Yeah.
But what had happened was, with me, I had gotten married and had a couple of kids. I kind of walked away. My drums were always set up. They collected more dust than they did snare hits, but
yeah.
They were always set up. And from time to time I would play, and then I got into Latin percussion. So I started to play more. My ex-wife, my now ex-wife, and I had split up. So I had I never walked away from it, but I had a job as a UPS driver in downtown Trenton. So I put more miles on my hand truck than I did the actual UPS truck.
Wow. Okay.
And after 20 years of that, I woke up one morning with 4 herniated discs. I had blood in my spine. One of the discs ruptured, and I was in serious pain. It took me months before I could walk without a cane or a device to aid me, because my back was in such bad shape. And I had back surgery, but it resulted in unemployment. And 3 years of unemployment, living out of my savings. I had literally gotten divorced 2 years prior, so I still had child support and alimony to pay, and things were not good. So I had to reinvent myself. And I thought to myself, you know what, this time I'm going to do it for me. I'm going to do something I enjoy. I got my first job out of high school to accommodate my parents. I got my second job at UPS to accommodate my potential growing family. this time I said, I'm going to do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to what I love, and that was music. And I figured through music that I could help a lot of people, from charities to the local person, just looking to be heard. So
Wow.
that's why I went that direction.
It's that's a great story, but like typically it is something like you said, that something as almost like life altering, Dan, right? It seems like in like so many ways that drives us back to what would be our roots, right? Or like, for obviously because we're musicians, but like
Right.
you said, that never leaves you. But sometimes it takes something in the form of, I don't want to always say an accident or an injury, but it's usually something grand, right? That'll like say, all right, now this is what I'm doing. But again, Danny, let's see here. I wanted to also ask you about, all right, so now we know that that's what put you back into music. All right.
Yes.
Like I've always said, Danny, I'm intrigued by what motivates certain individuals like to advocate the way they do to help not just musicians, but in turn, what you're doing is you're helping society and stuff like that. Aside from just how the injury pushed you into it, did you come across anything that like originally maybe motivated you to like want to just really help like indie artists per se in Jersey here? Was it something specific that motivated you, Dan?
Oh, yeah. When I realized I had to reinvent who I was, I realized I didn't have to go too far, because who I was a musician,
Mm.
and a guy who enjoyed performing and helping and playing and meeting other musicians. And when I was 15, local radio station WPST had an unsigned heroes contest,
Okay.
and my band went in. First time I ever went into a recording studio. And I went into the studio. We cut 3 original songs, and we sent our cassette tape to WPST. Well, we wound up winning 2 out of the first 3 unsigned heroes contests. And I remember when the voting was going on, I was at a church carnival, and a young lady I went to high school with came up to me and she said, "Listen." Well, one of the Wheels of Chance had a radio on, and they were playing my band's music.
Mm.
And I remember literally being, I mean, Danny, I was paralyzed, and I had chills from head to toe. I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that feeling. I mean, that was 42 years ago. And I remember it as if it was yesterday.
So cool.
And I thought to myself, when my back injury gave out, if I can give other musicians that same feeling, or give them a chance to be heard, then I'm going to do it. Because if I felt that good, it's got to feel that good for them,
See.
or at least most of them.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it. And then through that, I also thought that I could help with various charities. So I've supported a lot of charities, from, as you know, veterans to multiple cancer charities. I've emceed events at places like World Cafe Live and the Stone Pony, and World Cafe in Philly, Stone Pony in Asbury Park, larger venues,
Yeah.
where I've been asked, because I've gotten on board and helped other people through, the airwaves.
Wow. And it's funny, Danny, because as you know, as musicians, it kind of serves us to be driven from our ego, because if we don't believe in ourselves, and if that confidence is not portrayed when we're performing, when we're shopping our own music, it's not going to help us. We almost have to have that like high ego content to be able to say, hey, listen, I believe in myself and I do stand out, and why. But that's why I've always been attracted to your story that much more, because here you are on the butt of your career and you felt that excitement about how cool is this? Imagine if I can help other musicians feel that same buzz about like being heard. That's selfless by definition, and it's the exception when it comes to musicians and artists. And that has always been like such a model for myself, because I have to say that, you know, like I said, we've all done these things and like we all would want them to be seen and heard. So like we all know that we have to, like I said, have that kind of ego driven thought process about it. But you're putting other people first. You're putting them ahead of you, taking out of your time, taking out of your days to say, hey, come on my show and talk about yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to wrap my hands around that, because I know as a musician, and unfortunately with that kind of ego, that it takes a lot to do that. You know what I mean? It really takes a lot for people to dig down and say, I want to put somebody else first. And dude, that's so cool, Danny. I've told you before, I love that about you. But you know, that's that selflessness, man, that I just wish, Danny, that so many other people would have. Now, it doesn't have to be like in our capacity. You could tie in what you do or why you do it per se to everything in life, because as we know, things come back to oneness, and everything comes back to, you know, trying to help people. But that's cool, man. Now, let me ask you something else. Has that motivation now over the years, has that changed, Danny, or is it still to, you know, to like just try and give other artists an opportunity, or have you added anything to that driving force of yours, or has it been the same?
Well, what always gets me is, you know, I have a very large internal struggle with what I do at times,
Okay.
Danny, because it's very frustrating. As you mentioned in your opening, I started on an AM radio station in a South Jersey church compound, actually. It was a very large compound that had a radio station, a high school, a church, like a 500-seat auditorium. I mean, it was pretty big. And it was terrestrial radio. And when I made the decision to switch to internet radio, I lost an air of legitimacy because it wasn't terrestrial radio.
That's interesting. Yeah. Why?
And, well, because internet radio has a bad reputation of like some guy sitting around in a skimpy t-shirt and his boxers, you know, interviewing people.
Yeah.
It's more accepted now than it used to be.
That it is. Yeah.
And,
I agree.
You know, because a lot of cities are total Wi-Fi and you can get whatever. And now podcasts such as yours, or, you know, people are listening more and more to things that aren't terrestrial radio or satellite radio, even for that matter. So when I made that decision to do that, that's where I went. But I found myself questioning multiple times, even as recent. You mentioned again the 10th anniversary, which is on my bio. I really wasn't even going to have that party, but my engineer, Art Ackerman, and my producer extraordinaire, she, you know, they were like, come on.
Claire rocks, by the way. I just want to say this. Claire, you're awesome. Thank you again. Go ahead.
Yeah, she is. She's made a huge, let me tell you something, Danny. She made a huge difference in my program.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Huge. I'd pretty much be lost without her. Right now, she thinks a lot different than I do. Let's put it that way. But, you know, they urged me to have this 10th anniversary party, and it was at the Asbury Hotel, which is attached to Danny Clinch's gallery there.
Yeah, that's a great place. Yeah.
And I reached out, and you know me, I insist that the musicians get paid. So I made sure that with the help of Brian Eric, he gave up his night of hosting his open mic there or showcase at the Asbury so I could have the party.
Yeah.
And I really didn't expect anybody to show up. Well, the amount of people that showed up just totally, and I have to watch because I get emotional sometimes just thinking about it.
That's
The amount of
cool.
people who showed up and the musicians who were like, we would have done this for free. What are you doing paying me? You know, it just, it got me. There were a couple of times I was brought to tears on that evening.
They were doing it for you, brother. They were doing it for you. Yeah.
And because up until that point, I often questioned, is anybody even listening? Does anybody even care? Because a lot of musicians, what they do, Danny, I give them a 2-hour platform. And I give them a 2-hour platform where they can talk about anything they want. You've been on my program, you play 4, 6, 7 songs of your own, either from a CD or live, whatever you want to do, I allow you to do. Yet I can't seem to get them to care enough. I can't seem to get them to promote their appearances. Now, musicians, as we know, are notoriously bad about self-promotion.
Yeah.
Or not all of them, but a lot of them, very bad about self-promotion. And so, and I accept that. But yet, if they're going to be on a terrestrial radio station like FM or AM at 2:00 in the morning, they'll promote it as if it's 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Listen to us at 2:00 AM on this. And it's like one song for 4 minutes, or there might get a 20-minute interview somewhere else, and they'll promote it like crazy.
Yeah.
So sometimes I struggle with saying, does it really matter? Because what I'm doing doesn't seem to excite people as much. And then somebody or someone or something will happen that makes me say, I guess I'm making a difference. Yeah. So,
and in spite of that, sometimes, well, of course, we're all subject to be subjected, to those feelings like, all right, is it making sense? Is it reaching people? Is it helping? But, I'm grateful that you continue to persevere the way that you do, because I know that it is, worth it, to say the least. And I'm sure that little, mention of, or like how you felt, like all your friends coming to you on that night for your party, hopefully that like gave you some satisfaction that, yeah, it is working, because Dan, you're loved and revered throughout the state. You know that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Great, Dan. Thanks, by the way.
Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, no, I don't know that. I don't know. Maybe that's what keeps me going.
Well, people need to hear that, because obviously you don't do it for those, benefits or those reasons. You do it because it's out of the graciousness of your heart. But I know that, when like people are told that what they do matters and it's worth it, it helps the cause. So let me be that one, because I know I'm not the only one who touts your service and the way I do, but I'll be one who makes it. And that's why this was important to me, because like I said, I'm branching out with these new episodes to try and find people who do make a difference, because oneness encompasses it all, like I said, Dan, and this is all part of it, how we serve, how we give back. And so as we go into like another thought here for you, we started talking the other day about obviously our events currently throughout the world, and we don't need to get into that, but I know that it's those things that we're all facing that like make it even more difficult to advocate, because we're all restricted, or this or that, and now the whole country is divided and most of the world is divided. So as I ask you, Danny, like why that you advocate the way that you do, how do you see things going forward? Are you still optimistic in your own envision, or do you see more like struggles, or what is like Danny Coleman's vision as we move forward here as a society?
Personal or worldview? Which one would you like
Well,
first?
I want to start. I want to start with yours because it stems from you, and then if you choose to branch out into, into the world itself. But what's your view? Like, why do you keep advocating, and do you see yourself slowing down in your advocating ways because of what's going on, or?
Well, one of the things that's becoming increasingly tough, given the first off political landscape, and then the pandemic thrown in on top of that, is you and I have the same viewpoints as we talked about, and they're different from a lot of other people's viewpoints.
That they are.
Now, myself, I can accept other people's points of view. If that's what you want to do, then you do it. This is the United States of America. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. You have the freedom to be scared. You have the freedom to be brave. You have the freedom to do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't look down or judge you for that. However, people are always judging those who think different, and it's got to stop. There's a lot of things from that are being freedom of speech. They're silencing conservatives. As a liberal or a conservative, I would be concerned because nobody should be silenced or sequestered or removed. You need a difference of opinion. You need a healthy debate.
Of course.
And going forward, one of the challenging things that I'm finding within myself is many of the musicians that I know or associate with or that I'm trying to help have very, very, very different viewpoints from mine. And a lot of them assume, the keyboard makes people very pious, makes people very strong, makes people say things that they know they can get away with saying that they would never say to your face.
Oh yeah.
And it's very disheartening. So it's a struggle that I have internally to continue to support people who don't have the same values as me.
Yeah.
But I do it because to me the music is bigger than the artist. There have been a lot of artists over our lifetime, Danny, who were total jerks, who were drug addicts, but they produced some of the greatest music that still is played today.
Yeah.
Do I support their lifestyle or what they do? No, but I do support their music. So it's a struggle that I go through quite often, actually. So, but I try to remain positive and think, maybe one day as they mature or they get older, they'll look and say, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And they'll try to right the wrongs, or maybe it's not wrong. Maybe to them that's what's right, and if that's the case, good for them. As I said,
it's like you said, Danny.
That way.
Exactly, because the divisiveness that we're all in the midst of in the society it's like I wouldn't be surprised if you just said, you know what, too much hatred out there. I'm going to stop this for a while till like things settle down, but you muddle on through, you know what I mean? Like you keep advocating, you keep helping. And it's a testament again to you, because like you said, there is just so much rhetoric, and it's so distinct though too. Like, here's side A, here's side B. And it's like you said, I don't understand why, this side can speak, but this side is being told that you can't, and even there's the same on flip-flop too. There's sides from over here saying, no, I don't want to hear from you. It's like, I don't, it's very disheartening. I've told you how I removed myself a while ago, specifically from watching news, and also from like some of the social networking platforms like Facebook, for instance. I just couldn't take it no more, man.
Can I tell you, Danny, with my points of view, I never post anything political on any of my social media, my Facebook page. Lately on Twitter, I've been throwing a few jabs here and there, but I never post anything political or religious on my, because to me that's very private. That's like voting.
Yeah,
Nobody needs to
exactly.
know who you vote for, who you worship, um, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
However, you know, the rhetoric and everything they can do to make it a non-positive experience. I've been told to go back to whatever backwater state I was raised in and not educated in because of my because of a response, because I approved of something somebody said.
Yeah.
There was a post where the person said, you know, before you start getting mad at the states that are reopening, you still have the right to stay in your house and be scared, and that's fine. We accept that. So I made a comment on that post, and I was told that I was uneducated, that I don't care about people. You know, that oh gosh, what else did they say? I mean, I can't even remember now here, but so I'm not going to waste time dealing with it. But just the fact, I would never say something like that to anybody.
No.
You know, I mean, that's, you know what, if that's how you feel, and I don't agree with it, but that's fine. You know what? You have the right to feel that way. You're not going to help people by sitting home behind your computer and doing things like that and being nasty to others. It's just not going to work. There was a case when this pandemic first started. There was a local convenience store giving free coffee to people for certain things. So I go inside, and I watch 3 people go in without masks. Like, and there's a sign once you get inside. It wasn't on the door; it was inside, and it said you can't go beyond this point without a mask. I didn't see it because it looked like one of those yellow caution wet floor signs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I just walked right past. I walk up. I said to the kid, I said, who's wearing a mask? I said, can I get a cup of coffee? And because now they're pouring it for you. You can't just get it yourself.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I can, but you need to put a mask on. And I look over, and there's one of the employees and 2 people at the register without masks. I said, well, I don't have one with me, but not everybody in here is wearing a mask. Can I just get a cup of coffee and go? He said, no, sir, I cannot serve you without a mask. So I turned around and I walked out. I said, okay, then you're not getting my business. And I walked out, and one of the rare times I put a post on Facebook. The unjust wasn't that I was being made to wear a mask. It was that, why was I being singled out?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe, Danny, the amount of people who turned on me. This is, I mean, calling me foul names. This is about the mask. You think you're better than everybody. You think, I was like, whoa, that's it. Never mind. One and only post I ever made.
Yeah.
No need for it. No time. I'd rather stay positive than negative.
Good for, and that's what it comes down to, brother. Taking that like high road, especially because, you know, what I've gathered is that everyone hiding behind their like monikers. This is LC519, who, you know, because he's not putting his name out there or her name out there, they just feel that, oh, I'm just gonna just rip people. I don't like any divisiveness. Is just that, you know, and it's the total opposite of like what I stand for with oneness. And you could just see, and it wasn't just today's issues. Like I've seen, and I've sensed this for quite some time, that that the greatest illusion that we face in humanity is the falsehood of separation, which I've been saying, and it's because we all feel that we're all different and everyone is right and whose religion is right and whose politics is right. It just draws more of a line down our like world here, and it's getting people to pick and to choose. But when it comes right down for it, we're just hurting each other. But so listen, Danny, what I wanted to ask you now is, please, by all means, tell my listeners everything they need to know to, you know, like to find you, because I will be posting it at the end of this again too, and I'll be sharing it. But tell everybody where they can find Danny Coleman and your shows.
Well, they can find Rock On Radio which is going to be 12 in April, Danny. 12 years already.
Nice.
At the end of April, April 26th, my 12th anniversary.
That's awesome.
You can
man.
find out everything you need to know about that on DCROR.com, which is the quick link for Danny Coleman's rockonradio.com.
Mm-hmm.
The show airs Sunday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on COARadio.com. That's COARadio.com. Danny Coleman's Got the Blues, my blues music show, which airs from Mercer County Community College's fine classical jazz station.
Nice.
Classical and jazz, not classical jazz, but classical and jazz. WWFM 89.1 HD2 or online at jazzon2.org. That's Monday nights at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Eastern, jazzon2.org, the number 2. And Facebook, Danny Coleman or Danny Coleman's Rock on Radio, and Instagram, Twitter, or at Rock on Radio, and at Coleman's Got for Twitter.
Okay.
Yep, for on Instagram or Twitter. I'm sorry, Twitter.
That's
so that's
awesome.
that's where you can find them. But and if there are any musicians that are watching this or listening, send me your music. Go to my website, DCROR.com. Email me. We'll get in touch. Send me your music if you're interested in being a guest. Right now, I'm booked through April, but or into May actually. But you know what? I'd love to have you on the program, promote your music.
So yeah, please, anyone out there listening, just like Danny said, this is an outstanding opportunity for you, and it really would serve you and your new band or your new music better to take advantage of that. Danny's the best, you know what I mean? You get to publicize the interview with Danny. He plays your music. He allows you to perform live. So it's a layup, guys. You got to do this.
And it doesn't matter, Danny, where they're at, all across the country or the world, really. I've dealt with blues
Good
guys.
point. Thank you for sharing that.
People call my show from literally all over the globe. I'll give you 10 minutes and play one of your songs. Or if you're local or not local, I've had people come from Key West.
Nice.
I've had people come from Albany. So if you want to, I'll do whatever I can to help. But can I say one more thing before
Absolutely, Danny, go ahead.
The only reason I'm sitting here talking with you, besides the fact that you are, fantastic friend and a great host, and have asked me graciously to be on your program, which I'm humbled by, sir. Thank you very much. The only reason I'm here is because I didn't quit. I never gave up. And there were times, and the honest to God's truth, I had friends say to me, if I had you, when I was going through my divorce and my back injury, if I had your life, I'd either be in rehab or suicidal.
Wow.
But I never quit. I had family members urging me to file for bankruptcy. I had people asking me to go on public assistance. Because there was one point in my life, Danny, I was down to $17 to my name. And I never quit. And through my passion, and if you look up the definition of passion, remember the movie The Passion of Christ that came out?
Some years ago, yeah.
You'll see what passion really means.
Yeah.
It involves a lot of sacrifice. And I don't mind doing it. It's not that I get and you know me, I'm a drummer. I'm in the back. I'm a background kind of guy. So to get my message out means a lot to me today, and don't quit, because you never know, you could be this close to getting what you want.
Yeah. And Danny, when it pertains to music, I always share something that my dear friend Ronnie told me decades ago. He's been one of my best friends in my entire life. And every time that we faced adversity, he always goes, Danny, you don't have to worry. He goes, you don't call music calls you. And that's why, like, to your point, it's like that, it just keeps calling you back. Music calls us, Danny. We don't call it. And that's why you've been a blessing. But brother, man, I can't thank you enough for being here. So my friends, I'm going to share again all of Danny's information. Okay. I'll have his links up and everything. But with that said, thank you, my friends, for listening to the podcast that I'm calling That Oneness Guy. This has been episode number 28, an interview with my good friend, radio and TV host Danny Coleman. If you like what you've been listening to, I should please take a moment to subscribe to this feed. You can find That Oneness Guy podcast on any and all of your favorite podcasting sites and apps. As well as I mentioned earlier, I also have the recently started blogs as That Oneness Guy as well, too. And you can find all of them. Visit my YouTube page. Like I said, I've been having a lot of fun with them, folks. I keep them under 10 minutes. I always put in and I perform one of my songs with them as well, too, that like correlates to the message that I'm speaking about. So check them out. As you know, or you may not know, I'm also back on Twitter and on Instagram. You could just look up That Oneness Guy. You will find me. But last but definitely not least, I've been mentioning my new book, The Ways of Oneness, Helping to Navigate Life. Friends, it is now available in the Kindle version on Amazon. Okay, so as I'm continuing to shop through publishing offers, I wanted to get the message out because, like what Danny and I alluded to, this world needs it a lot. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put out a Kindle version. It's simple, and there's a lot of people nowadays who want it just read on their phone or on their Kindle or on their laptop. Here's a way for you to read the book, The Ways of Oneness, Helping to Navigate Life, which I wrote through the majority of 2020 as we were all, sequestered under the cloud of that pandemic of ours. But it inspired me to write, to find my own way out of it. And as I did that, I decided, you know what, it's not just about getting my way out of or navigating through a pandemic, but it can help everyone to navigate through life as well, too. So check that out. And so for now, again, folks, my name is Danny Rongo. I am That Oneness Guy. Please look forward to my next show. Again, Danny Coleman, thank you so much. I love you, brother. And as always, my friends, in peace, love, light, and continued oneness. Namaste. You wonder if abracadabra